Big Read here. Today we review a lager and discuss the Milo Tucker interview. Well, good evening.
Hey, good evening, Pigweed. How you doing? All right.
Okay.
How about some beer and conversation?
I think that's a great idea. What are we drinking?
So this is a black lager.
A black lager.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Fine dog. Fantastic.
Well, that sounds very good.
So what's on your mind?
Do you remember that Ugandan interview where the guy asks, well, do you have it handy?
Thank you for good morning. Why are you gay?
And the friend of mine played that opening thing, and he thought it was the most hilarious thing he'd ever heard.
Uh-huh.
And it went super viral.
Yeah.
And everybody
thought it was hilarious.
Everybody thought it was hilarious. And then on Tucker's show, he sort of says, well, wait a minute.
Why is it hilarious?
Why is that hilarious? I mean,
yeah.
I like when you take like an academic approach to something,
yeah.
something viral, something silly, or just simply asking, why is a joke funny?
Yes.
Right? You just like, everybody agrees this joke is funny. Well, there's a science to it, you know? You can break it down.
Well, I know a really, really, we won't discuss it today, but I know a really, really good one where there's this hilarious joke, but you have to stop and think. You think about why is this joke funny?
Yeah.
And all the assumptions that go behind why you think it's funny.
It reveals a lot about what our basic assumptions are.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know what you're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, between the difference between men and women.
Yeah. Right.
So anyway, well, let's drink this beer and
Okay. So fantastic. This is called Awkward Silence from Flying Dog.
Yes.
Black lager, which is one of your favorite styles.
Yeah, it is, and it's part of their winter holiday variety package.
Okay, yeah, seasonal
their
release.
Family drama seasonal release. And this one is what? Awkward Silence.
Yes, Awkward Silence. And I'm not a big fan of their art. I like their beer. I think their beer is fantastic, but I'm not a fan of their art. I don't know why they use that weird stuff.
Oh, but that's related to Hunter S. Thompson and some
hey.
That's nice.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the black lager gives it a little bit of astringency or something.
Yeah.
It's a nice sharp flavor.
Yes, but it's still sort of a thin lager,
mm-hmm.
but it has those dark malts that right up front.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Now, and who was it who brewed that first black lager that we had? That was DuClaw.
No, they did the black IPA.
Oh, right.
And nobody does. Whenever I see one, I jump on it. But it's just an uncommon style that
You're right. That was a black IPA. Yeah.
What? I like this too.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so why are you gay?
Okay, so Tucker starts the show sort of analyzing why that would be so funny.
Yes.
And I guess it's addressing, because it's taboo to ask either, is gay caused?
Right.
Or is it a lifestyle that you choose?
Right.
And this, he doesn't care about either of those things that you're not allowed to say or think, and he assumes that a person should be able to explain why they're gay, but we've all been conditioned that you're born that way, and so there is no reason why.
Yes. And that's why it's fun. And that's why it's funny. That's why it's funny, because we've all been conditioned since about the 80s.
Yes.
To say you're born that way. And here's the funny thing was that whole you're born that way mentality was just sort of a shift in strategy.
Oh, it's totally strategic.
It's not like there was some new evidence that came out or some new scientific study or they found a gene or, there's nothing like that. Yes. It's just they decided that in order to make being gay a civil rights issue, like being black or being a woman or something like that, they said, well, obviously it needs to be something, an immutable characteristic that you're born that way.
Right.
So that just became part of the lingo for no particular reason. Right. Except to promote
the mainstreaming
of homosexuality. That's right. So, but think how it's been so successful that changing everybody's mind. It's been so successful that when we hear some guy from Uganda say, "Why are you gay?" that everybody thinks it's hilarious.
It's hilarious. Do you want to talk about the Ugandan history?
Yeah, because Tucker goes into that a bit. And just by the way, we're talking about two kind of odd characters here.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, Tucker and Milo are both odd characters, and we're not like trying to say we endorse them. It was just a fascinating conversation.
It is, and much of what I'll say, I'm going to tell you what Milo was saying, not that I'm agreeing with everything that Milo said,
exactly.
But he's as close to, I don't know, I mean...
An expert?
I mean...
Right.
Really. But so Uganda has a famously not gay-friendly, legislature and government, and they made aggravated homosexuality. Was that the term?
Something like that. Yeah.
Or aggravated, I think.
Yeah.
Aggravated homosexuality punishable by death. Well, when you hear that, it sounds like if you're just a little flouncy, they're going to kill you.
What was the word? In Catcher in the Rye?
A flit.
Flit.
Yeah.
If you're a flit.
Yeah. That's not what it means. It's what they're saying is the homosexual rape of a child,
or an elderly person,
or a mentally incapacitated person,
right. Or intentionally giving somebody AIDS,
Right. So, while that's a little more aggressive than our system, attempted murder and rape of a child,
right?
There are a lot of people, and in fact, they're talking about it in Florida, making that punishable by the death penalty.
Right.
But it just came across as so anti-homosexual that, we can allow other countries to make their own decisions about their internal borders over everything. I mean, Sharia law,
right.
We don't get all fired up about that. We go like, that's terrible, but what are we going to do? That's their country.
Right.
In this case, we said no.
Exactly. It's like you can do anything you want in another country. You can have any kind of crazy policies. You can execute your citizens. You can do all kinds of stuff. But if you touch this topic,
do not mess with the gays. And so they cut off funding and caused a famine. Mm-hmm. And so half the country, the children in half the country are starving because we
were upset that they wanted to crack down on gay rape of children.
I know.
Yeah. It's like, come on. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's that's the Ugandan background.
Let alone there are African nations where there's slavery going on, and there are African nations doing all kinds of crazy things, but we don't do anything about that.
No. But if you ask, why are you gay? Then you got the full weight of the full weight.
What I find most hilarious about that interview is they are so polite. It's these guys with this clearly African accent,
right?
Well dressed. It's a man and a woman, right. Well dressed, being very polite, speaking very politely, and it's like you wouldn't see that on American television. There'd be screams and blood and everything else.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
So it's Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yeah.
We did a show about him many, many years ago.
There he is.
Before he was canceled. And so he, at the time, let's back it up a little bit. He was an editor for Breitbart.
Yeah.
And he's a Brit.
Very smart guy.
Very smart. Very well educated. Mm-hmm. He can speak on literature and theater and fashion and the church history. And,
right.
The guy is really smart.
Yeah.
And has always been very flamboyantly gay.
Yeah.
Right. And so they also, if you're just going to get like a 2-line, a right-wing provocateur.
Yeah.
Meaning that,
right.
He's going to say some outrageous stuff.
Yeah. And even the name of his tour, the Dangerous Faggot Tour. You know what I mean?
Right. It was written on the side of his bus.
Right. Yeah.
And he traveled from campus to campus as a Catholic conservative super gay.
Right. Yes.
And
how he reconciled all those things was, I'm sure we discussed this in our show back then. Like how did he reconcile? Sorry, how did he reconcile being a conservative Catholic and being a flamboyant gay?
Yeah. Well, he finally did, and we'll work up to that.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that went. Now, out of all the things that he said, you think that this guy's uncancelable, considering he's got a dangerous faggot on the side of his bus.
Right.
But he said, and don't have any reason to doubt him, that young gay men are often introduced to the world of homosexuality by older men.
Yeah.
And he was.
Yes.
And the fact that he didn't think that there was a problem with that meant that now he's pro-pedophilia. Isn't that what got? Isn't that how the interpretation went?
Yeah, kind of. But it's a little weird because he was 14 or something.
I'm not sure. Right?
So that's not technically pedophilia.
Yeah.
I think it's called ephebophilia or something like that. But anyway, he's he was saying that it's common in the gay community for older men to, as you say, bring them in, kind of introduce them to the ups and downs and all the rules and the lifestyle, all the different things that you need to know, But he wasn't negative about it. He thought, that was fine and appropriate.
Right.
And how did that? I don't really understand how the left got so upset about that.
And that's another like a cultural phenomenon thing. Like out of all the things that he said,
that's the one that you get upset about.
And he,
and just suddenly canceled,
and
like in a day.
Said, like, this is how the gay world works. So what I am going to take Milo at his word. If I had a choice between a gender studies PhD, who's written books and everything to tell me what the gay lifestyle is like,
right,
and Milo,
sure,
taking Milo all day,
of course.
So I'm just going to take him at his whatever.
Yes.
So whatever I say about it, I'm just assuming that he knows a heck of a lot more.
Yes.
Well, certainly than me.
Yes.
But even then, like I said, some PhD academic and
PhD academics say the stupidest things. And
so the guy's just saying this is how it is, and of course historically that's exactly how it is, and in places like Afghanistan, that's exactly how it is today. You know, then you sort of age out of it because the older men don't want you after you're 18 or 20,
right.
And then you become that guy.
It's so disgusting. It's so disgusting. Anyway, yes. And that's the way it was in Greece, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it seems to be. There's this Catholic writer who studied the abuse crisis in the Catholic Church, and he one time said in a comment on a blog we were both participating on that he thinks that it's this whole thing of homosexuality in the clergy is a leftover from classical antiquity. That this has just been something that's been in the culture for thousands of years. Huh. And, I don't know.
I mean, yes.
I mean, actually, Tucker and Milo kind of discussed that a little bit. Yeah.
Yes. So he, to build up to the interview itself, he disappeared because he had a podcast. He had campus tours.
Right.
He was
everywhere.
He was a Twitter guy.
Yeah.
And then he went completely silent until Charlie Kirk's assassination.
Right.
And since then, he's like, I'm back on Twitter and whatever. And then
he's been doing some interviews.
I don't know. And what has changed in this time now that Milo's back? He's ex-gay.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant in the culture. Yes. Now he's saying that he's been celibate for 5 years.
That's what he says.
He says he's been totally off of that.
Yeah.
And, that's, so here's the thing. The same people who had a fit about what Milo said about being introduced to the gay lifestyle and all that say that this whole becoming an ex-gay is impossible.
Well, we'll get to conversion therapy,
right?
Yeah. Which we just.
But here he is. He's saying that he was this flamboyant gay guy,
right?
And then now it's all done.
And the way, although he kept correcting him because there is another updated term for conversion therapy,
reparative therapy.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
Yes, and he actually says it does work, but let's do that later.
Yeah.
So.
Are you allowed to do, maybe he should be in jail. Are you allowed to decide not to be gay anymore?
I know. Listening to them, I'm like, God, I feel like they heard our show. Because that was the whole nature of our show is you can go to therapy to change anything about yourself.
Right.
But it has to go to the Supreme Court
to decide
because the government is trying to make it illegal for you to not want to be gay.
I know. Right.
It's insane. And they had the same reaction. I'm like, yeah, that's what I was saying. So here Milo's back, and now he's ex-gay, And he's so coming back around. Tucker says, "Why are you gay?"
Right.
He's like, apparently we're allowed to ask this now. And so Milo is all over the place. He's a very fast and scatterbrained, yet still brilliant.
Yes,
and talker and thinker,
and also exaggerates. He says
yes.
He says things way like for example, Tucker would say, "Well, why are people gay?" And Milo would say, "Nobody's gay." Right. And then later on, he would say, "Well, some people are gay," but
and then he would say, "And then amongst conservatives and Republicans, they're all gay."
Exactly.
Like, all right, easy. What is
I know. What
is
he talking about?
But I think
Ben
his point
Shapiro
was,
gay? Is that what he's saying?
Yes. But what he's saying is what we used to say, like you say, before the 80s,
right?
That factors contribute.
Yes.
Your life factors contribute.
Which is what Freud said.
Yes. Yeah. And he's like, yes. He says, it's either an absent father, and so you're just raised around women.
Absent or just so totally nothing. Just
you have a henpecked dad and an overbearing mother.
Right. Yes.
So it's either absent or overbearing, and you attach and associate yourself with women.
Yeah.
And he said, and I don't know, just saying, I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying, as the authority, as far as I can tell, that I did not think that the gay numbers were high in the black community.
Yeah,
but he seemed to say blacks and Jews.
Yes, that it's very high in both communities.
And it's for those two reasons. It's the overbearing Jewish mother and the absent father,
right? Which
leads to higher numbers of
gays. Or being raped. He said homosexuality is a trauma response. It's a reaction to a limited and fairly known set of life experiences. There's a relatively small number of repeated etiologies that mark someone as vulnerable to being homosexual. That's overbearing mom, absent dad, being raped, failure to form a platonic, stable relationship with a man as a young man. Yeah. So he says those things don't. It's not like if you have an absent father, you will become gay. It's just that those things are strongly associated with it.
Right.
That like almost all gay men fall into one of these kind of categories.
And if it wasn't a forbidden science, somebody would actually run the numbers.
Yes.
But they're afraid of what the outcome would be, and then that might go against I was born this way.
Yes.
And so, yes. And just like running the numbers on being raised by gay parents.
And the problem...
Nobody's running those numbers.
The problem is we have an environment where if somebody did that study, no matter which side they fell on, I wouldn't believe them. Because you're not allowed to say certain things, and when you're not allowed to say things, you would
know that they know that their careers are in jeopardy.
Yes,
that if it doesn't I mean, that's not how studies are supposed to work.
Yeah.
That here's my conclusion,
yeah,
and let me see how I can get there.
Right. Let me find the evidence to support my conclusion.
Yeah.
Right.
And also, he said, but there's definitely no lesbians.
except what's one woman. There's one woman on Fox News that he says no, she's maybe the only real lesbian.
Right. But I
name.
think this is this was a suspicion I had when I was very young. I was like, seems to me that there is a political agenda.
Yeah.
Associated with lesbianism that you don't find in gays. Like
right.
men, seems like men genuinely are attracted to other men, and I think lesbians are driven by hatred of men and feminism.
Certainly seems that way.
Or at least that's a contributing factor.
Yeah.
In a way that's not there
right.
for gays. And so I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Because he's, like you say, he is so extreme in all of his statements that he would just say there's no such thing.
Right. And he also, like, for example, he said, all the bishops are gay.
Yes. Right. Yeah, right.
And he, I heard him in a different interview say that he was talking to somebody from Mossad, and Mossad, wanted to find out. So they did this big investigation to find out like how many of the bishops were gay,
right.
and they found out it was 86%.
Is that Milo stat?
That's Milo said that's what the Mossad told him.
Okay,
but so when he says things like all the bishops are gay, he's just being a provocateur.
Yes.
He's just exaggerating. He doesn't
He's just
actually
saying there's
mean
a lot of gayness going on.
Yeah,
like a normal person
doesn't actually
would say
mean all.
Right.
He means 86%, which is a doggone big number, but he still does not mean all.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of other things. There are no gays. Well, yes, there are some people are gays. And there are no lesbians. Well, okay, there's a couple.
Right, yeah. That's kind of his style.
Yeah. To come out with the radical, crazy statement and then back off on it a little bit. So, he claims that he's not gay anymore.
Yes, and he talked about a kind of reparative therapy method, which is exactly like how all behavior modification therapy works, from quitting smoking to fear of spiders or whatever, right? You're exposed to the thing, and then you're
trying to make it negative.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I had a kid in the neighborhood who was chewing his nails all the time.
Yeah.
And in order to get him to stop chewing his nails, they painted this disgusting stuff on his nails.
Yeah.
So that when he bit the nails, it tasted horrible.
Right.
So he wouldn't want to do it. So the idea is you associate something negative with the habit, and that gets you to break the habit. Right?
I mean, that's how it all works.
That's kind of a normal thing to do.
But it is legally forbidden.
You can't do that.
When it comes to being gay.
Right.
And especially if what you're saying, if you're hard and fast, if you are married to the idea that it's in your cell structure,
right,
your genetic makeup makes you gay, well, then maybe there would be something more to the argument than what he's saying is, no, there were environmental forces that led you there.
Right.
It's not encoded in your DNA.
Right.
And yes, you can change it.
Yeah. So the reason people, so I don't know if you remember back in the 80s, there was the big dispute over like Jerry Falwell and guys saying that this is a lifestyle choice.
Yes.
Right. And then a lot of gay men were saying, look, I didn't choose this.
Yeah.
And a lot of people making the very credible argument, look, you think if I was going to choose something, I would choose this. Like this
choose something that's going to ostracize you from family and society.
Exactly.
And
is that you're really going to choose that?
Yeah.
So that argument, that whole it's a choice was a dumb argument, and it was, I think, very effectively knocked down by the actual experience of gay men who say, look, I don't remember ever having made this choice. This is something that happened to me when I was very young. Yeah. Right. So what Milo is saying is,
but what they did, but instead of saying something happened to me very young, they backed it all the way up to before I was born.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's in your genes or something. Yeah. Pete Buttigieg says, if you don't like my homosexuality, it's God's fault.
Right. A guy who didn't become gay until he was in his 20s.
That's right.
So there you go.
That's right. And he became gay for political reasons.
Yeah.
But anyway. So the experience of most homosexual men is that this is something that they, as far back as they can remember, this was part of their.
Yeah.
So obviously, if there is a cause, like Milo claims, ever-bearing mom, absent dad, all these other different causes, it's something that happened so far back that they have the experience of, I've always been this way.
Yes, right. The failure to form
platonic relationship with men. Right.
Yes,
yeah. Right.
So it's after you were born, but before you just sort of chose it for no particular reason.
It's not like you were just like 18 and said, gee, I wonder what it'd be like.
Oh, it looks really fun.
Yeah.
No,
that's
so
not very likely.
I get that. But there is a place in there, where there's environmental factors. Now, are there, like, twins separated at birth studies out there?
I don't know. And would you trust them if there were?
No, probably not.
Yeah,
because you hear all kinds of things. They were separated, and they both married men named Mark. They both smoked the same cigarettes.
They both like gardening.
So I don't know. Would they both be gay? Who knows? Because if you're talking about Milo's environmental factors, so you have to factor that
exactly.
in.
And also, I'm not necessarily endorsing what Milo is saying. I mean, there's all kinds of potential ways that it could be not genetic, but still something that you were born with. Like there could be factors in the womb.
Right.
You know, there are all kinds of weird things that happen with people. And supposedly when a woman is pregnant, there's all kinds of stuff that the woman's body is communicating to the baby's body, like about the world around her. Is it a scary place? Is food readily available?
Yeah.
All this kind of stuff. So it's entirely possible that there's stuff going on in the womb that we have no idea about that could somehow contribute to whether you're gay or not.
Yes.
I don't know.
I don't know. But in terms of, let's go back to the gay strategy.
Right.
When he says, all right, look, let's stop talking about sex stuff. He says, let's stop talking about fluids. Let's stop talking about,
Don't be provocative and flamboyant.
No, but mostly the promiscuity,
yes.
which he says is off the charts.
Way off the charts. Crazy off the charts.
He was talking about, he said, the number 75 came up, and he says, 75 in a year? He says, that's like February. It's like,
yeah, it's crazy.
What? So, I mean,
he says, according to Milo, even so-called married homosexual couples.
There's no such thing.
There's no such thing as monogamy.
No.
It's maybe it's a little less than when you're single.
Yeah. But he's like, no, you got to be kidding me. He even said something to the extent of, well, of course, everything is exaggerated.
Yes, everything.
But
is exaggerated.
he says, no, in a gay marriage, 20 partners in a year, that's monogamous. So anyway, so that's the other thing we're not going to talk about.
All right.
All we want to do, what we're going to say is love is love.
Yes.
Just emphasize the love that we are exactly like you in every way.
Yeah.
And love is love. And we want marriage. Yeah. Because really we just want to live the exact same lives. This is all building up to, adopting babies.
Yeah.
Buying babies.
And it was a big change. I've been in publishing my whole career, and there are a lot of homosexuals in publishing. And I remember some of my friends who were kind of struggling through this big change, because before they came out with this, there was a book called After the Party or something, After the Ball.
Right.
And that book marked part of this big strategy change among how people were going to try to make homosexuality acceptable. And before that book, homosexuals were generally against marriage. It wasn't like, do you want gay marriage? We don't even want marriage at all. We don't even believe in marriage. We don't like marriage.
I don't know where Stonewall magazine stands now,
right?
But at the beginning of the push for gay marriage, Stonewall magazine was against it.
Yes, and that was the standard.
They got strong-armed into endorsing it because they're like, this is an important part of the strategy.
Yeah.
We just want the same things that you want. I remember this gay comedian mocking, heterosexual couples with their huge carts at Walmart full of goods, going, like, God, the last thing that we want,
we don't want domesticity.
We don't want to live in this. We don't want picket fences. We don't want to go to PTA meetings.
Right.
That's not, we live in cities and we go to clubs and we have fun and we, enjoy our lives and whatever. It was a very anti-hetero.
Yes, absolutely. And that was the attitude prevalent up until sometime in the 80s. Right. There was somehow this big change in the strategy. And Milo attributes it to this book, but
he did. He referenced
that book. But there was this huge change in strategy where all of a sudden it was no. Now we want to get married, we want to have kids, we want to do all this other kind of stuff. And it was a big change and I remember some friends who were kind of struggling through that, like, what's going on here? And you almost get the impression that there was some big meeting. We've been through very strange.
That when there is a sense of an underground current, like somebody's in charge, there doesn't have to be somebody in charge. And then the people who who disagree with you can make fun of your conspiracy.
Yeah.
theory and then try to poo-poo the whole thing.
Right.
But
frequently,
there can just be a current.
Yes, and also often it only takes a few influential people to change their mind, and then that just becomes the thing. And that applies to Malcolm Gladwell writes about this sort of thing, where a couple of influential people all of a sudden start wearing hush puppy shoes, and then hush puppies are all of a sudden fashionable again.
Right.
You know, those kind of things are very weird and unpredictable.
Or you would need just like a couple of editorial boards.
Yes.
And then on important papers, and then then people in minor papers feel like, well, we don't want to seem like we're hillbillies over here who haven't gotten on board with this. The idea, but no, right. But there was no underground meeting anywhere.
Right. Smoke-filled rooms.
Yeah,
the different factions of the
and
homosexual cabal were trying to decide.
So then the next step was, and he hates Dave Rubin.
Yeah.
Well, he hates his contribution.
Yes, which is to make a gay adoption a normal.
No, I mean his own. I'm sorry. Milo hates his own contribution.
Yes,
which he now looks back as normalizing. Like he was embraced by conservatives who said, "Look, we've got a gay too."
Yeah,
and they did. They were like, "See, we're not homophobes. We got gays on our team too."
Yeah, and
he feels bad that he was that guy.
Yes. Yes, and Dave Rubin is another one of those guys.
And then he says that so he's apologizing for that, and then attacks Dave for being not only that guy,
but also promoting adoption.
Also buying two kids.
Do you remember listening to Jordan Peterson interview Dave Rubin on that particular topic?
Oh no,
it wasn't very interesting.
Did
Peterson went along with it?
My question was going to be: Did Peterson push him on it?
Not really. It was sort of like the argument was, well, what do you want us to do? Do you want us to be on the edge of society forever? Like, shouldn't we be incorporated into regular society?
Isn't monogamy, normal couple lifestyle better than Milo's clubbing and new guy every night?
Exactly. That was the argument.
Yes.
However, Tucker and Milo had an interesting conversation about how creativity has disappeared from the homosexual world.
I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot that, but that was one of my favorite parts because you're no longer because you were on the edge.
Yes.
You were pushing the edges of society, and with that came theater and dance and art and whatever.
Just different ways of thinking.
Yes. Yeah. And now that you're just another guy.
Now you're a lapdog little poodle.
Right.
Then there's no creativity.
They've
and not just that, but they become the enforcers of
right speak and right thought.
Exactly. So not only is there a lack of creativity, it's like, no, you've become the enemies of creativity. You've become the enforcers of, you must think this way, you must speak this way, which is a very interesting phenomenon.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting insight on his part.
Yeah,
in a gay way. But so he still comes across.
Oh, he's still got the mannerisms. And
I mean, it's dialed back from the Dangerous Faggot tour.
Yes,
but But it's also just part of his personality that he can be all over the place, but with, intelligent references. He can go from, Oscar Wilde to,
Shakespeare.
Right. Pope Benedict III, or you know what I mean?
And he's apparently a guy he reads a lot.
Yeah.
And he knows a lot about what he's talking about. I'm not saying he's right, but he's a smart guy. And it's a very fascinating interview. If you have the time, listen to Tucker interviewing Milo, because it's very interesting.
Yeah, I know, I ain't saying he's right about everything, but he's as close to an expert as I'm aware of.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, okay. We good here?
I think so. I mean, there were a couple of other slightly other interesting. Okay, so one thing that he said that I thought was really interesting, and I think this is my last point. And this is Milo, him speaking, not me. gay men are attracted to ugly, fat women with no fashion sense because they want to visit on their female friends the misery they'd like to impose on their mothers. Because every gay man knows it was his overbearing mother who did this to him.
Oh, gosh. That is totally Milo there.
I know. I mean, come on. That is really...
But they do. And a lot of women want to have a gay friend.
Well, I totally understand that. I completely understand women wanting to have a domesticated, unthreatening male friend.
Who's
right?
not
going to hit on them.
Not going to hit on them.
It's going to help them pick a hat.
Who will love to go clothes shopping with them.
Yes.
That their husbands will not.
Yeah.
Don't mind carrying their purse in the mall.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So absolutely. I totally understand.
But I didn't realize that it came, according to Milo, it came from the trauma brought upon him by his overbearing mother.
But you see, the weird thing about that is when you picture the woman who wants to have a gay friend to help her pick a dress or whatever, then that's a cooperative, positive, friendly friendship. Where what Milo is explaining is this like demonic, nasty.
Hold on, he wants to have her for. Hold on,
because he wants the fat, ugly, unfashionable woman to be fat, ugly, and unfashionable because he wants to visit on them. He wants to keep her that way, which is totally not the picture that you get from the idea of a woman wanting to have the gay friend who can help her pick her outfit. And he blames the ugliness of the catwalk and the fashion shows and the absurd nonsense.
Oh my gosh! Have you seen the recent?
It's terrible.
Recent ones.
Yeah.
Although I also attribute that to our famous show, The War on Beauty.
Yes, I think so. I think you're right.
I think it's probably a little bit more of that. Than,
So Milo is out there in his. I'm not endorsing any of that. I mean, that just sounds out of left field. But that's the kind of thinking you get out of this.
That's what you're going to get, and it's entertaining listening if you got the stomach.
If you got the stomach for it.
All right, cheers.
Cheers. Thanks so much for listening to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. Remember to visit us at pigweedandcrowhill.com or send us an email at pigweedshow@gmail.com.